I woke up feeling negative today. My allergies were going crazy. Forgot to charge my phone last night. Didn't post a video last week. Like, what was I thinking? So I decided to expend this negative energy onto a certain topic that I'm very passionate about. And that's my only problem with Akeno. I'm going to try to say this in a way that doesn't make it seem like I hate Akeno, because at the end of the day, I do think she's one of the best written characters in High School DxD. But there are still some very prevalent problems with Akeno's character that I just wanted to talk about. So I'll start by asking, who is your favorite character in High School DxD? I'll give you like 5 seconds to think. Did you say Akeno? If you did, then I completely understand, and I can agree with you to a certain extent. So I asked my members what video they wanted to see, and by the way, if you want to request videos, you should join my membership. Link's probably in the description. It's definitely in the description of the channel. But yeah, I asked my members what video they would want to see from me, and one of the requests that interested me a lot was this one from Baka Sensei. And it says, I think it would be interesting if you could go into more detail about why you seem to hate on Akeno more than the other characters. So again, let me make it clear, I don't hate Akeno. I said this in my Volume 7 review. At her peak, Akeno is the best written female character, but that still doesn't make her a perfect character. So I just wanted to explain myself a little bit more and go into depth about my only problem with her character. So first off, who is Akeno? Akeno Himejima is a half fallen angel, half devil that serves as a queen under Rias' peerage. Akeno's a very interesting character, and she has a very intense and traumatic backstory. Her mom is a human and her dad is a fallen angel. One day her dad Barkyul was wounded and Akeno's mom found him and treated his wounds. Barkyul decided to stay with Akeno's mom, and then they eventually had a daughter and named her Akeno. Akeno lived a peaceful and quiet life until some people attacked their home. These people were sent there by Akeno's mom's family that thought that Akeno's mom was being mind controlled by Barkyul since he was a fallen angel. They wanted to kill Barkyul and I guess Akeno too, but Barkyul wasn't there, and when they tried to kill Akeno, Akeno's mom stepped in and ended up sacrificing her life to protect Akeno. And before these people could get to Akeno, Barkyul stepped in and killed them. But Akeno still holds a grudge against all the fallen angels since they're the reason why her mom died, and she eventually ran away from home, and then Rias found her, took her in, and then turned her into a devil. Ever since then, Akeno has rejected her fallen angel side and has relied strictly on her devil side. It isn't until she meets Issei where she learns to accept her fallen angel side and use the power that her dad gave her. So this is a really good story and a really good concept, and the execution was also fantastic. There were a lot of emotional moments, and Akeno feels like a real person in these 2 seasons where her story is being focused on, and I can honestly say that she was the best character during this time. The problem I have with Akeno is when she isn't being focused on. Akeno has some extreme consistency problems. Akeno at her best is one of the best characters, but Akeno at her worst is honestly probably the worst character in the peerage. And this isn't really a Akeno only problem, it's a problem that some of the characters do have when they're not being focused on. The only characters that get consistent love are Issei, Kiba, and Rias. Everyone else kind of gets forgotten about when they aren't in the spotlight. And I get it, there are a lot of characters and it would be an incredible feat to keep all these characters consistent. So normally I give them a pass. But with Akeno, it's a little different because it's such a night and day difference. Like, it's actually insane how inconsistent they are with her. It's been really distracting on my rewatch. So there are many levels to this inconsistencies with Akeno's character. I think the easiest one to explain is the inconsistency with her fights. Akeno is pretty much non-existent in almost every fight she's in. I feel like I've already touched on this before, but it's honestly disrespectful because she's like the only character that has this problem. There's really only like one major fight where Akeno's actually doing something, and I'll just go through all of them again. So the introduction to Akeno's power is actually not that bad. The fight with Visor, that stray devil, she comes off as the strongest member of the group, and Rias even drops this historic line.
Akeno is my queen. Her attributes are a perfect combo of all the other pieces. She's simply unbeatable. Tough girl.
Unfortunately, this line aged like milk, and it's only downhill from here. The fight against Donaseek, Kara Warner, and Mattel, she actually does nothing. She's just there playing defense the whole time until Rias just takes them all out in one hit. If Rias had the ability to kill all of them immediately in one hit, why didn't she just do that immediately? Or why wouldn't Akeno just do it? Because if Rias can take them all out in one hit, Akeno can definitely beat them pretty easily. But instead, she's just up there throwing shields and ends up having her shield broken at one point. The fight with Riser's queen, Yuba Luna, she kinda gets a pass for. Akeno Akeno is able to put up a fight and only loses because Yubaluna used her Phoenix Tear to heal her, and it's also explained that Akeno only lost because she wasn't using her full power. But the only problem I have with this fight is that we don't actually get to see it. And because we don't get to see it, that fighting aura just isn't being built here. Because you can say someone's strong, but we'll never understand how strong they are until we actually see them fight. Words can only go so far, we have to see the actions too. And those are really like the only fights in Season 1. Season 1 made Akeno look pretty mid when it came to fights. Konako, Kiba, Rias, and Issei all looked way better than her when it came to fighting. And then in Season 2, Akeno gets laughed at by Kokabil for having a weak power. I also give this one a pass since it's setting up Akeno and her backstory. And then Akeno doesn't do anything during the Chaos Brigade invasion, which really no one besides Issei, Gasper, and the higher power people do anything either. So Season 2, we really don't see anything from Akeno and her power, but at least they're trying to build it up with her backstory. And Season 3 is pretty much the same thing as Season 2. She gets a little moment against a little Midgard serpent dragon thing, but not really anything other than that. It's done so much better in the light novel where her and Barkil have that moment where they shock Loki and stun him, which leads to Issei hitting Loki with Mjolnir and beating him. That's a way better moment than when we got here. So I guess that Loki thing will count as something. But then she really does nothing else for the remainder of the time. And of course, you have the classic fight against Cyberorg's Queen where Akeno loses in one hit to her own attack. We see Akeno fight one time in this entire season, and the one fight is a squash match. She's hyped up in the beginning as this unstoppable force, but it's just not there. And she really is the only character that has this problem. Because even characters like Konako, Kiba, Zenobia, Rias, Asya, these characters get their moments in almost every battle. It's really just Akeno who doesn't really have a battle where they just go crazy in. But that's kind of the most shallow case of her being inconsistent. I also have some problems with how they handled her when her story is not being told. So obviously, Akeno in Seasons 2 and 3 is one of the best characters. She's been through real trauma and we get to see her overcome this trauma too. It's done so well and you can't help but to cheer for Akeno. And of course, I do plan on making a video about why her story is so good and why Akeno is so loved by everyone. But we're here to be negative today. So we established that Akeno in Season 2 and Season 3 had actual good writing. However, every other time we see her, she's just not that interesting. I really noticed this when I was rewatching Season 1. During my rewatch of Season 1, I found myself almost being annoyed by Akeno's presence because she just never added anything to the story. Like seriously, think about Season 1 with Akeno and then think about it without Akeno. Nothing changes at all. She has no effect on the story, the characters, the fights. It's crazy. And she's really the only character that this applies to. Kiba and Konako have a lot of bonding moments with Issei, and they help him get through his problems with Rainier, and even during the Riser rating game, so they actually do something. I don't even have to explain Asya and Rias. This season's like solely focused on them pretty much. So that just leaves Akeno, who's just there doing nothing. She's so forgettable in Season 1. They could have added so much more to it. I think a small thing they should have added was some type of hint that Akeno is faking her personality. Give us some type of foreshadowing for the eventual reveal. High School DxD is usually really good at this. They've been hinting at the So-So and Cyberorg arcs for like 3 volumes. They hinted at the Cyberorg fight in Season 3. They hinted at the Sona rating game in Season 1. They even hinted at Kiba's backstory in Season 1. So it's kind of weird how we don't get anything about Akeno. We're talking about a character that hates fallen angels more than any other character. A character whose mom got killed because she was with a fallen angel. You could have done something with that. Just a hint. I mean, Akeno literally has a fight with 3 other fallen angels, and you can't even tell that she has any type of trauma going on in her head. They really should have put something there. Another thing I would add is some type of bonding or some type of one-on-one moment between Akeno and Issei. Why don't these two get that in Season 1? Every other character has some type of moment with Issei except for Akeno. She's just left out of everything in Season 1. It kind of seems like they had her there just to add a comic relief to the story, but Akeno really isn't that funny of a character. I hate to sound like a D1 Akeno hater, but when I think about funny moments in High School DxD, Akeno doesn't really cross my mind. She just doesn't work as the comedian of the group. And honestly, her dialogue as a whole just seems a little off in Season 1. The whole time, she kind of just acts as Rias' hype man, either explaining what Rias is saying or just stating the obvious, or she's making some smart comment. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when it's all your character does, it does kind of become a problem. And I think it can kind of all be chalked up to her having no soul in this season. She has no aura. She doesn't make you want to watch. She's just there. Like seriously, think of a moment from Akeno in Season 1. It's so hard to think of one. The best thing I can think of is her throwing up gang signs. Thankfully, the author locked in, and she made one of the greatest 180s of all time. Going from the least interesting character in the peerage to the most interesting, really impressive work. I can't stress this enough, but season 2 and 3 Akeno really is something special, and it 100% fixes what they did with her in season 1, which was nothing. So after season 3, Akeno has the most hype out of really any character. She's at her peak so far, and we really want to see more from her, because she's just unlocked a new power, her relationship with Issei is building up, she's one of the strongest characters in the peerage again. But then in season 4, she was just kind of there. Now season 4 Akeno is a little bit better than season 1 Akeno. She does at least have a moment with Issei during the whole Rainier trauma breakdown scene, but other than that, there's really nothing to go crazy for. And it's not really her fault either, since everyone is on the trip to Kyoto and she isn't. She misses out on about half of the season, but that's kind of why you have to make up for it with that fight. Think about all the characters that didn't go on the trip: Rias, Akeno, and Gasper. These are the 3 characters that missed out because they were on the trip. And Gasper makes up for it with his moment in season 4 where he sacrifices himself to beat that dragon. Rias makes up for it with that very last scene in season 4, the confession scene between her and Issei. And I mean, really, she had a bunch of moments with Issei in season 4. Since season 4 was like Issei and Rias only, those are like the only 2 relationships being built in that season. And then Akeno, again, she does get a little moment, but it's a shared moment with Asi and Konoko, which works, but then it gets offset by her getting squashed by Cyberworks Queen. Like, you can have Akeno lose that fight, but having her lose in one hit is just so disrespectful. So it's not really a terrible season for her, but it wasn't really great either. I think it would have been better if they would have gave us a moment between her and Rias while Issei was on the trip. Instead of just having her teasing Rias, she could actually be talking about something important. Maybe talking about Issei, talking about her life, something. Also, maybe if they would have shown that fight that they had without most of the team, instead of just skipping over it, we could have got a little bit of something. But overall, it was a pretty disappointing season for Akeno compared to the last. And it really is a shame since they were doing so well with her character. But again, when she's not in the spotlight, they just completely forget about her. It's so weird. Like, when you think about all the characters in Rias' peerage, they all have something about them that stays consistent, or something that makes you want to root for them. Issei is our main character, so it's kind of hard to root against him. Rias is the main love interest, so she's able to consistently have moments with Issei. Asia is just like Rias. She's also able to consistently have moments with Issei, and is able to help the team in almost every fight she's in. Kiba is Mr. Consistent. Everything about his character is consistent, but especially his fights. Same with Zenovia and Roswaisa. Both of them are very consistent in their fights, and you can always expect a good fight from them no matter what. Gasper is continuously growing as a person and as a man. We're watching him grow up as the story continues. And Konoko is kind of the same as Gasper. We're watching her learn to enjoy life and let other people in. We're seeing a new side of Konoko that we never really saw in the earlier seasons. And then you have Akeno, who's just consistently inconsistent. And there goes that video. I was pretty busy last week. I usually record videos on Friday, edit on Saturday, and post them on Sunday, but I was gone all Saturday and I was not expecting that. So my bad for no video being out last week. But since that video came out, we got so many members, it's actually kind of crazy. And all of the members that I got were Goat Zazel tier members. So thank you Chaos Glitch, Michael Whitworth, Flav or Flav, Kaneki the Goat, and Cloudy Kai for subscribing to the Goat Zazel membership. I'll see if I can get you all into one song. Let's see how this turns out. This is for everyone who subscribed to the Goat Zazel membership. I'm just here to thank you. It's a freestyle. Thank you, Chaos Glitch. I hope you become Chaos Rich. Michael Whitworth. You have been the coolest dude since birth. Oh my god. Thank you, Flav, for everything that you gave. I'll remember you until I'm in my grave. Oh my god, hold up. Kaneki the Goat. Forget the goat, you're the boat. Best of all time, just like these rhymes. Ooh. Cloudy Kai, you have nice eyes. Subscribe to Cloudy Kai. He makes cool videos. I don't know what to say. Just thank you for paying for, yeah, anyway. What do you think about that one, huh? No? Okay, I'll just go ahead and see myself out. But yeah, next video should be the defending Issei video. You know, explaining why he's a good character, or why he's not a bad character. And it'll probably be a longer one. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you everyone for subscribing to the membership. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.